Okay, excellent. So I can see that there is a mixture of people joining us in this call, whether they're speakers or they're attendees. People who are joining us, there could be they could be developers, they could be specialists, there could be professors, as well as end users. So the objective of the talk is to understand how do we actually implement, and this is my job. I help organizations, government and private, including educational institutes, including universities, and sometimes corporate as well, to implement a successful XR program. The terminology is still new, and I'm sure many of the developers or company owners would agree with me. So until now, we are having some challenges whenever we talk about implementing them. So for me, I think the talk would describe, us as experts put ourselves in the shoes of the end user and understand how are they how do they want to see the program, because end of the day they are the ones who are making the investment. So before we dive into this, as I mentioned, since we are still new in this technology, and us all, the pioneers, I consider us, it is our responsibility to take this very strategically and successfully. End of the day, after 5 years or 6, 7 years, the success of today's technology will depend on how we are shipping it. We are going through very unprecedented times, and I really hope that everyone is safe and sound. However, every challenge that humanity faces, we do have a lesson to learn from. And I think one of the most important lessons that we have learned during these times is that how we have united as one, as a human race. So that is the most important thing. Second comes some of the tools that help us to carry out our daily activities, our work, our education, our creativity. And this is where immersive technologies have proven themselves to be very, very helpful in building bridges and bringing people together. So what happens, what have we been talking about all this time, since like 3, 4 years, 5 years? We have been talking about how immersive technologies are helping us to connect with people better. However, it was considered a luxury. In the past 6 months, we have realized that it is no longer a luxury, it is instead a necessity. In order for us to continue being productive, to continue with our work, with our education, with our higher education, with our trainings, we need to cope with the situation that is ongoing. There is a travel restriction, there is a nationwide lockdown. We need to cope with it, understand that this is the reality of today, and move a step forward. So in all of my talk, I like to just remain very, very positive, because when we talk about negative things, it is only us, we are holding ourselves back. And I also consider that it's a great responsibility of us as experts in any industry is to take an initiative and spread positive information, or spread even positive vibes sometimes. So any institute, big or small, whether they're dealing with kids in schools, whether they're dealing with teenagers or adolescents in university life, or adults in corporate trainings or government, we need to understand how do you actually start a completely new program. What are the questions that need to be answered for you to ensure that you're having a comprehensive and affordable and a scalable program? And end of the day, it should have a return on investment. So these are the 6 major questions that we start with whenever we're pitching any organization. First of all, is the theory versus practice. This is in order to identify which area are we going to pitch in with our immersive program. I think it's pretty clear. Second is how often to change content. Now, again, very important question. It varies from one organization to another. if my organization is, let's say, a security agency, and they have a set number of courses or content that they need to develop at once. Out of that, again, if we go back to question 1, how much of it is practical, how much is it theory-based, and how we can improve it with immersive technology. How often do we change content just means how often we will need to go a level above. Is the content that I spent money and time on is enough for me for 1 year or for 6 years? Or do I have to change it in a few weeks' time? So all of that is a big question, needs to be answered. Third question is about number of learners. Since we are making an investment, we need to understand the ROI. All of these 6 questions are eventually taking us to the ROI. Number of learner also means where are they based? Are they in different cities? Are they living actually in one, let's say probably in one building, so you can simply gather them and conduct the training? Or if you need to conduct the same training for people living in different cities, in different countries. So you need the training to be reaching to them as soon as possible, to be effective as possible, and for them to be able to implement on it as soon as possible. So that question is very, very important. Question number 4 is describing that every organization, we have seen this throughout the last probably 5, 6, 10 years, is that every organization is depending heavily on learning management systems. This is in order to balance the whole system of the organization, starting from attendances, different level of employees. So if I am giving them a new program, especially one related to an innovation, is this program going to mingle with the existing system, or is it going to be challenging? Why this question is important? Many organizations, if I am an owner or a head of an organization, I would really not be wanting different system where each of them are not speaking to each other, because end of the day is just a lot of bulk on my shoulders. However, when I have a program which is telling me that we are able to blend the immersive program with your existing LMS and arrange your existing users along with the immersive program, then that's going to be a very beautiful result end of the day. So a lot of the tedious work can be actually cut down if we are developing an immersive program which is merging very beautifully with the LMS. The 5th question, and I guess this is something that probably the end user would understand best, is that immersive technology is the tool that is helping us to experience or train even in risky environments with a complete safety, especially in today's time. You know, and this, I believe also in the current time, it is applicable across various sectors, whether we talk about consumer markets, we talk about education, we talk about law enforcement. So if the environment that we need training on is risky, then immersive learning is a hope that is helping us to achieve the training in very risky environment, but in complete safety. Lastly is the audience level engagement. And I think this is also matching a bit with the previous presentation that you have seen, is that how much you want your audience to be engaged. The basic level of engagement can be a virtual tour, which is again a very basic thing in every organization when we talk about induction programs. So that is level 1. And we also very heavily emphasize on virtual tours and the basic most level to orient the end user about virtual reality or immersive experience. Just to orient themselves, because this is the first time they're using it. It is very important, if it is the first time for any organization to be looking into or thinking about investing in immersive technology, that we take them step by step. Until now, I have not seen any successful program in which we have jumped from 0 level, from everything conventional, to a very high-end game-based experience. People need to move step by step. So we start by giving them a virtual tour, probably just a 360 image. Oftenly it is, of course, a 360 video, then followed by a bit of more interactivity, and then all the way scaling up to having a fully immersive experience. So here, apart from helping in the end user to getting used to this method, it is also helping us at each level to take the feedback. How was the feedback when we were just doing 360 videos? And then when we added a bit of interactivity, how was the user response? So in terms of research and R&D, also this question is very, very important. Moving forward, so at Munfarid, what we have focused on, and we were able to develop this slide after extensive experience in the market and after a lot of talk, advice with industry experts. Organizations are looking for a program approach. What does a program approach? Program approach means that I am not a hardware company and going and selling them a virtual reality headset. If that is done, the next question that would be that which content is applicable to that and how often can I use this content? Similarly, when I am a content company, the question rises about the other thing. Who is going to provide the hardware and who is going to train us and who is going to ensure the support and services which are related to the hardware? So all of that part. At Munfarid, we are a program expert company. Program expert means is that the number one thing that we start is understanding the end user's objective for implementing the immersive program, which is everything that was described in the previous slide. When that is understood, then it is the time to design everything that this organization needs. How much is the immersive experience that they need? What is the level of interactivity that they need? What is the number of users? Based on that, we would be able to suggest if they need individual devices or if they need to, let's say, for example, build an immersive experiential area. This was happening earlier. Organizations who wanted to implement, they were heavily investing on building a lab, innovation immersive lab. However, now the recent work that we have been doing since the past 3 to 4 months have been focusing on individual experiences, on how we can actually take this technology to those end users who are sitting at home, but it is mandatory for them to achieve this training and move forward. The program approach is also ensuring the end user, the prospective customer, they are able to deal with one organization for all of their issues related to training, related to technical support, related to along the way if they have any defect or if they want an upgrade, if they want to ask any feature, you have somebody trusted that you are talking with. Especially very, very important because we are here in Middle East. English is widely spoken, the business language is English. However, when we're dealing with, let's say, some law enforcement training or lesser level of, let's say, labor level type of employees, then we need to have different languages available. So that is very, very important. So when you have one trusted organization that is providing you a full-scale solution, that is a very essential program to go to. How do we do that? Of course, as one company, we cannot master everything that we do. So we have a large network of partners who we work with. Some of our biggest partners include HP, include HTC, includes other companies who are developing content such as Pixel VR, Immersive VR education, the 3D organon in healthcare. So what do we do is that we understand that this content is something already, the R&D is done for it and it is ready to be implemented. So instead of us building a whole program from scratch, it is much easier to use a content which is already approved. It is aligned with the curriculum or the content for the end user as well, and merely we try to support. So it's a win-win situation for everyone. On top of that, we have our own team of expert developers. In the region, we are the partners for Unity. We are partners with some of the leading VR and AR companies. We are the exclusive Google AR VR programs partner also for the education sector, and so on. So this has been one of the major reasons for our successful programs. Whenever we talk about immersive learning, I think the past 3 to 4 months have helped us to actually convey the message better. Because as I said before, that it was considered as a luxury or as a fancy solution for organizations, you know. Today it's considered a necessity. So we have been able to convince a great number of organizations, especially the ones who need to maintain the work, who cannot stop, including government sector, including universities, and eventually it's going to be across all sectors. So again, to ensure the program is successful, there are a number of features that we are talking about. Why do we need to make sure of all of these features? Because of the title of this slide, it's talking about conversions. Conversions literally mean that it's like you are taking the end user to a whole new tunnel or to a whole new metaverse of experiences. So in order for you to hold their hand and make them pass through this experience, you need to show them that I am going to provide you everything that you need. Everything means that the experience is going to be really immersive and interactive. It will help you that whatever you are doing conventionally, you will be able to do it in an interactive way. Why is that important? Because once you do it with your hands-on practice, it will help you, one, is to understand it better. Second, it will also help you to retain the knowledge better. Third objective is that once you have done the immersive part and then you go on the field, you will be more confident because you have already experienced it multiple times. When we talk about cloud platform, that is something very, very essential, especially with the current times. I think it is self-explanatory why this is very, very essential. So every program has to meet the learning goals. And this is how we identify which program are we pitching to the organization. It starts with identifying the challenges they're having in their existing system and how can immersive technology solve it better. Apart from all the recorded programs and the existing experiences, live communication is very, very essential. So imagine a platform which is enabling you as an organization if you want to simply meet with your team. How about if you meet with them live while being remote and communicating with the body language, communicating with the expressions as well? Cross-platform compatibility is a feature that we have created especially during the COVID-19 time. The objective of this feature is that to minimize investment and have maximum numbers of users to be able to use a certain program or experience. Many of the programs that you are using today are not necessarily only on a virtual reality device. Many of them are compatible with laptops, with smart tablets, smartphones, etc. Lastly is a feature that is describing about the sanitation. And this is a feature that I have, this was probably the first features that I have focused on when we started the company 4 years back. Just because all of these devices are closely connecting with our hands, with our faces, near to our mouths and nose. So before this device is moving to another user, of course, we need to maintain the sanitation during the COVID or even without the COVID. So the program that we have created involves a special feature for the sanitation purpose. As long as we are using anything which is involving touch, involving wearing wearables, I think it is very, very essential to maintain the sanitation part. The picture of the avatar on the bottom is just showing you different levels of quality. Both of them, in my opinion, they look amazing, except that one of them is a bit more high definition or more structures. This is simply about the level of the quality that the end user is willing to reach. However, the important message out of this is that it is essential for us when we're approaching an organization, instead of them appearing in a cartoonish figure, it's really important for them to be appearing in their own avatar. It's more professional. End users like it better, and it's helping them to interact with each other much better. Moving forward, this is the summary of the program or the platform that Munfarid has created. So first of all, it's a cloud-based platform. We are having full support and services for the end user, and currently we're serving it to a number of organizations from different backgrounds. We are serving it for healthcare sector, education sector, even corporate training, and as I said, government sector as well. Media streaming means that there is a feature that allows you, just like in today's platform, I'm able to use one of the features to share my screen. Similarly, in the virtual environment, you are able to share your media, whether it's a video file, it's a PowerPoint, PDF, etc., so that the program is as comprehensive as it can be. Sharing content, of course, you have multiple avatars in the virtual environment. You will be able to share any material you want with them. If you want to chat with them, you have the freedom to do that. For the feedback, we are having forms within the immersive environment, which are, again, this feature can also be used as a test for education sector or universities. So it's really, really amazing. The form or the feedback or the survey form is pre-designed by the admin or the educator or whoever is there responsible for it. During the session, anytime they can pull that and have the audience respond to it. Custom avatars, as I have showed you previously. So the feature is really, really beautiful. What it does is that it allows you, I hope some of you have already used it before, but it allows you to take a selfie from your own selfie. It is converting that selfie into an avatar. So it's really, really cool. And then you have the features of dressing it up the way you like, dressing it as a healthcare professional, as a fire extinguisher, multiple things as you like. Multiple environments are available, including workspaces, including meeting rooms, seminar rooms, auditoriums, etc., as well as external areas such as parks, museums, fountain areas. And personally, I think if we're meeting in virtually, then why do we need to be, secluded in enclosed environments? Why not we meet in a fountain area or a park? It's really very beautiful. Interactivity is also a very, very important feature. And a good thing about the interactivity, just like we're doing now with Jean-Philippe, who's controlling my mic and controlling my the actions that I can do, even in the virtual environment, there is an admin who can control that how much interactivity do I want to give the audience. At once, if I want to, mute all audience because the speaker is talking, or if I want to summon them all up in one place, so there are multiple features included with that. We also have some games inside, some very basic games available, etc. Session scheduling is done very nicely, and this is a very important feature when we are dealing with, of course, when we're dealing with institute, but also very important when we're dealing with events and conferences. Teleportation, of course, you can hop from anywhere to other. Both features are available that you can walk through as well as you can, hop into a place. User management, as I already explained, is about how the admin is managing the rest of the audience. If we're talking about any conference or activity or even like institutes, we have a great area for the branding in the walls. If it's an auditorium room, there could be extra stuff such as flags with their branding and stuff. So that feature is also very amazing. So if let's come on now to take one example, and here I would like to refer to an example, let's say from a healthcare industry, because many of us can relate to it, even if we're not doctors. So how do you actually ensure that this is the right time to invest in the immersive program, or how are you going to convince the end user to do that? One is the pre-assessment. Pre-assessment will help the end user to actually admit to the challenges that they're having. Across all organizations, they do know that they have some challenges. However, often they're unable to, they're unable to grade them based on the priority, because the number one priority, especially in this time of COVID-19, you really need to prioritize your objectives and what do you want to work on it first. So pre-assessment will help us determine what are the life-saving procedures and what is the readiness of our entire staff for that. Second step is going to be that we design the full simulation training, which is available from a remote location. It is available anytime on cloud, of course. It is also very scalable and responsive. Responsive is the word. What does responsive means? If, for example, if I'm working on a virtual patient and I do a step which is wrong, it should be reacting on the patient just like the real life, because that will actually help me to understand the correct way to do it, and also what happens if I do the wrong thing. And consequently, the scenario will run. So the scenario is not a fixed something which is pre-built. It's dynamic and it is responsive to every action which is done by the user. The exact same example can be duplicated when we're talking about fire and safety, for example. If you're not putting down the fire the correct way, it's actually going to become bigger and it's actually going to burn the whole place up. So this is the simulation-based training. Of course, post the simulation training, we need to have the evaluation, the assessment of the user, and it's always great to have a comparison between the pre-assessment and the post-assessment. It is helping us as experts to gain, of course, the research numbers. It is also helping us to take this back to the organization and show them that, see, this is the result. Measuring outcome, also we have recently we have launched a feature which is depending on artificial intelligence to help us with measuring the assessment, and that includes the rest of the things, which is tracking how much time did you spend on a certain task. Are you spending more time on a task that was not supposed to be, and so on. So coming to the end, I have a couple of more slides, but they're really extensive. This is just describing the complete breakdown of the experience when we are building it. So every step is very much in detail, and whoever among the audience is interested, they can feel free to reach us anytime. So this is how we do it as an expert, and we have a very, very close communication with the end user organization as well. So we take them from the initial steps with the design, with the story on board, and we take their approval before we move on to the next step. It is not as simple as just convert this training to immersive. It really has to be going in a very good flow. Another picture showing the lockdown process and stage-wise. So on average, when we talk about any project, we have an estimate timeline of creating any new project of, let's say, 4 weeks time. 4 weeks include 25 to 28 working days, And this is what it describes it. As you can see, this is our expertise at Munfarid. This is what we do, is we understand, we lock down the workflow, the wireframes and everything, and we estimate the timeline. And periodically we meet with the end user and we keep sharing our progress. And this is how we make sure that there is mutual benefit and confidence and etc. This is one example of the kits that we have been supplying to organizations who are using immersive programs during the COVID time. It's a one-user kit. It is having everything that you need, from sanitation, from the programs already pre-installed, etc. So this has been very, very popular in the past few weeks. And I guess this is coming to the end of my slide. I forgot to put the slide of my email ID, but of course you can take it from anywhere, and or you can message me on social media. And this is coming to the end of my talk, and please let me know if you have any questions.
Hi, Sana.
Yes, hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you. Great presentation. I really appreciate it. And just want to know if someone wants to ask a question in the public. Maybe Asma. Asma is online and she seems to have a question for you.
Yeah, somehow I don't see the, okay, I see the chat box now. So if anybody has any questions, just feel free to ask me.
Yeah, you can ask the question to Sana. And also, thank you again. And I hope we'll meet again on another platform or something like that. And great success great luck for your platform. Very interesting. If you have something to say to close.
Thank you for having me with your amazing group. I really like the work that you are doing. And I think it's a very positive thing that even in these challenging times, you are continuing to share knowledge, which is very, very important. I cannot thank you enough for having this, because I know how difficult it is to arrange such a great number of speakers from around the world. So congratulations for doing that. And thank you for having me.